Welcome back. So glad you're here with me today. It is mid-March and we are now 6 weeks out from our average last frost date, which means we can start putting plants into the garden. The plants that you want to put out now have to be plants that are cold hardy and can still withstand some cold temperatures and some frost. Those plants for me that I'm going to be putting out today are my onions. I already have some out that I ordered, but I'm going to be putting in my onions that I started from seed. I'm going to be putting out my cauliflower, my broccoli, and my cabbage today. I started all of those by seed in my basement, ranging from the onions I started January 16th, and my broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage are anywhere from 2 weeks to a month old depending on which ones I am planting, and they are going to go out and start growing, and I'm so excited to finally get my hands in the dirt and get some things growing in my garden. I'm going to bring you along with me as I start with my onion plants. I started these in my basement on January 16th. They are beautiful. They have been trimmed a few times, they have been fertilized a few times, and they are ready to go. So I'm going to be putting these into the I'm going to start putting them in this like bed area that I made. We'll see if I have enough room here and if I have to go to any other spots, because I have a lot of onions here. I might have overdone it on the onions, but we will see. The onions I'm going to plant are my Australian brown onions, and the way that we are going to do this is to just take them out of the pot. They have an excellent root system there, and I want to individually separate each of these onions. My soil is pretty wet. I'm going to kind of start loosening up these roots and just separating each of these onions with as much roots intact as I can. Onions have pretty thick, wiry roots, so they are not too hard to separate. And I'm just shaking a lot of that dirt out of there. And then this is what we are left with, and you can just kind of pull them apart at this point, and you have each individual onion plant that has an excellent root system. I'm super excited about that. And so I'm just going to put each of these in the ground. You do not have to put them in deep at all because you want them to have loose soil to be able to root up really big. All right, this is going to be a whole bunch of the same thing. So I will come back when we are ready to go ahead and plant the broccoli. All right, it is time to go ahead and move on to my broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage. These have been hardened off for, I don't know exactly, but over a week. They had their time in part shade, part sun. They've been in full sun. They've had plenty of wind. They are fully hardened and ready to go ahead into their permanent spot in the garden. I have a huge assortment of plants here, and they are kind of not in order anymore because they've been moved around a lot. So I'm going to sort these out into each variety, and then I will come back and get them into the garden with you. All right, I got my plants all sorted, and the first thing I'm going to do is put in my Copenhagen Market cabbages. These are a Danish cabbage. They take about 65 to 70 days after transplanting till they're ready to harvest, and they are going to go in my bed that is shaded from the partial sun when it starts getting warmer outside and these trees above us leaf out. Right now it's full sun all day. That'll help them really grow in the beginning, and then once it gets hot they're going to get shade so that they continue to grow and they don't bolt. Brassicas, which is what cabbage is, cabbage, kale, broccoli, cauliflower are in the brassica family, and those plants for the most part don't like to grow in hot weather. So these are best started as seed in a growing station or in a really sunny window, and then put out in your garden 6 weeks before your last frost. So that's what I'm going to do with these today. I'm just going to pop these plants out of my container. They have a really nice root system, and I will just put these into my soil that has been freshly topped with compost. I'm going to put these in where they are exactly the same level of soil as they were. So they're going to go this deep into the ground, and they are really going to take off. I follow square foot gardening, so I do my cabbage plants about a foot apart from each other. So that's what we're going to do here. Beautiful roots on that one. This bed also has my lettuce planted into it. And yes, I am disturbing. They are starting to sprout, and I'm disturbing them a little bit as I put this cabbage in. But there is enough lettuce in here that I am not worried about that. And it's going to grow beautifully around my cabbage plants. All right, I have my Copenhagen Market cabbage in. There are 10 of them and 65 to 75 days, and they will be ready to harvest. We're gonna go ahead and move on with another variety of cabbage. I'm gonna get my Katarina cabbage next, and we will put those in the garden as well. All right, like I said, next I am going in with my Katarina cabbage. These are a small head of cabbage. They're only about 4 inches wide when fully ready to harvest. They're super sweet though, and they're super fast maturing. They only take about 50 days after transplant. So what, like not even 2 months, and I'm gonna be able to go ahead and harvest these cabbage. So that's really great. These are a sweeter variety of cabbage, so they're super good to eat fresh and like coleslaw, but they're also really good cooked or braised as well. Multiple uses here, and they're gonna be delicious. I'm going to plant these the exact same way that I planted that Copenhagen Market cabbage. I want to show you. This one and a couple others, I have a turkin named Baldina, and she somehow sneaks out of her pen multiple times a day, and she got to my plants while they were hardening off and kind of ate them down quite a bit. I think it's going to recover fine, so I am still going to plant it. I feel like it's not going to have any problem just regrowing those leaves that were eaten off. So we're going to plant it and see what happens. And we are putting a net on the top of our chicken coop this week, because if she gets out here in the garden and goes to town on my vegetables that are planted, we're very likely to also have chicken soup that week. All right, Katarina Cabbage is in. We're gonna go ahead and finish this end of the bed and just do cabbage all the way across, and we're gonna move on to our golden acre cabbage next. It's also very similar to Katarina Cabbage, but it is not a hybrid, so it's not done quite as quickly, but it's a smaller head that is pretty sweet as well. I'm going to save an open spot right here in this area to throw in some herbs, because herbs have such a strong smell. They kind of mask an area from pests, and those white moths really like to lay their eggs on brassicas, and then you get pickle worms, which really devour your cabbage, your broccoli, your cauliflower, your kale. So I'm going to intersperse some onions and some herbs throughout this bed to try and help organically not have that problem, to just kind of mask the scent of the bed. But I'm sure we will still have to come through and pick plenty of pickle worms off of our plants so that we get to eat them and not the caterpillars. The next thing I'm planting are these Ruby Perfection red cabbage. These Ruby Perfection are so pretty. I'm going to give you a close-up. They have like a really matte dark green leaf with like a purple vein, and it's just beautiful. That is all of the cabbage that I will be planting. We have 42 cabbages in the ground. Some of those I will be using for fresh use eating, and some of those will be canned to make sauerkraut, and some of them just store really well, so they will just stay in our basement for several months. Those Copenhagen Market cabbages are one of those that are a great store, and I think the Ruby Perfection is as well. Well, I thought I was done with my cabbage, but I forgot about this last variety. I only have 6 of these, but these are Napa Michilli cabbage. They are a Chinese cabbage that's going to be really well in like summer stir fries. They're a Savoy type cabbage. They do take longer to come to a head, and they're a vertical head instead of a ball. So they're really a completely different style of cabbage, and you can tell that just by the difference in the way that the leaves look. This one's a little bit pitiful looking. I think it will still perk up once it is in the ground. All right, now we actually are done with the cabbage. I'm going to show you the finished cabbage bed. The bed is not full, but remember there is also lettuce planted in here, and I'm going to put a bunch of onions in, and I'm also going to grow a bunch of herbs in this space. So this is what it's looking like right now. I also do have some rhubarb plants that are perennial that are popping up here on the end. And now we're gonna go ahead and move on to planting our broccoli. I am growing multiple varieties of broccoli, and the first ones that I'm gonna put in is this Calabrese. I am going to put it in my bed that I planted garlic in. I put this garlic in January after it had been outside and froze and thawed multiple times. And I have one that has come up right here, but nothing else is showing any form of life in the bed. So I'm pretty confident that that's all I'm going to have. And so I don't want to waste the space. I'm going to go ahead and put some broccoli in here as well. Broccoli plants get really big, but I like to still just do that square foot planting with them and give them 1 square foot per plant. And they still give me a really big, beautiful head. I haven't had any problems doing that. The key to square foot planting is to have really nice, rich soil, which is why I top my beds with that compost every single year. It's full of nutrition so that my plants get a great start and they have everything they need to really grow beautifully. My beds are all 3 foot by, they're all different lengths, but they're all 3 foot wide. So that kind of helps me figure out my spacing. I don't measure, I really don't do anything exact. You will learn as you watch me. That's not the kind of gardener I am. Some people do that really well. I do not. I am not an organized person. It shows in my gardening, but I still have good success. So you do what works for you. This is a really pretty one. All right, I have my Calabrese broccoli in. I still have a lot of broccoli left to plant, and I have my cauliflower left to do as well. But it is Sunday afternoon, and I am going to go ahead and go in, have a cup of coffee, and get ready for church. So that is all for now. I'm going to get the rest of this planted probably tomorrow, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope I encourage you to grow your own food in your own backyard.